My name is Susanne Bosch. I'm a practicing artist. I'm coming from a fine art background and I'm working in the field of art in public interest. So the theme of this workshop is to look at methods and tools of inner journaling, inner reflection. And reflection is a really interesting moment in a whole process of change or transformation. We tend to think that we know how experience impacts on us, and actually we're just starting to explore how it works. And one key moment is this moment of pause where you allow yourself to look at what you're constantly doing from a bit of a distance, or with certain methods that allow you to observe or to get a feedback on what you've been doing. This is actually key to become aware of who am I, where am I, what is the current situation, what could I do differently, what are my usual habits, do I like them or not, are they useful or not. So this is actually a very creative moment of deciding, maybe I suspend my common ways of doing things and maybe I have a chance to redirect my actions, my thinking, my feeling. That means we communicate through our bodies. On day one, we spend a lot of time on really becoming present in and through our bodies and sensing things. One experience here is doing an exercise developed by Aravana Hayashi called Stuck and Unstuck, which works with the invitation to embody a moment in your life where you felt stuck. So it's about going into your biography, thinking about a moment where you feel stuck and literally giving it a physical form. So it means you feel from inside how that stuck feels, but you also have people witnessing how it looks like. To make this feeling of stuck more clear, you're using your peers to reinforce that gesture for once, and then the third step is, as nothing is stable on this planet, everything is always in change and transition, you change this embodied sculptural form into another one, and you invite your peers to help you find the moment of release, getting that energy from stuck into the unstuck. And it's a quite interesting, intense process every time again, because it gives you an embodied experience of nothing will, keep you in a space and place forever. There's always a change or a potential for change.
We had to imagine a time when we were stuck and act it out, and that was amazing, because at the start I kind of imagined that everyone's was going to be kind of similar, but everyone's in my group was really, really different. And when we were describing it back to the person, what we kind of got from it, we seemed to have really interpreted their moves very accurately, and then we had to try to intensify their stuckness, and then we had to try to help unstick them. You really saw the person who was being unstuck really kind of just surrendered themselves, and you saw like a massive transformation in their body language and in their presence, and like they just kind of came to a point of like, I don't know, strength. And like they just seemed so much like brighter and kind of radiant, and it was just a very natural kind of process.
What I totally like about Otto Scharmer, who developed the theory U and developed this presencing theater, that he says unless we sense, really feel the pain of, let's say, the global pain that's out and about, created by us through systems, through ways of thinking. Unless we develop or we really sense that pain, we will never start to work in co-creation to change this. So it's not, the intellect isn't enough to understand how to get to our, let's say, highest possible being as a community, not as an individual, but as a community. So that's what I find very interesting about this type of work, that it's no longer an individual decision, it's a collective movement of let's become aware of what really is out of place, and let's find together a way of finding the right place for things for all of us to live in conviviality. There's one exercise which has a lot to do with speaking, but also equally with listening, abilities to listen, and it comes from empathy research. It's an invitation to share two phenomena. One is where and how did I feel thankfulness in the last 24 hours, and where and how do I feel that in my body. And you have 2.5 minutes of time to tell that to the person sitting opposite of you, and then you change. And the second question is, where in the last 24 hours did I feel thankfulness or experience thankfulness, and how and where did I feel that in my body? And again, it's a 2.5 minute invitation to let somebody else know about your personal experience in the last 24 hours. And within compassion research, they found out that if you do that on a regular basis, it has a completely clarifying impact on your ways of thinking and feeling. And as you're always invited to identify where in your body you feel or anchor that experience, it's something that you can always go back to. And it's a very interesting body-mind exercise. There's an Italian artist group working with participatory practices called Art Way of Thinking, and they have been developing a really interesting method to reflect the fact that we think we are one person, but as a matter of fact, we always have various voices internally that communicate between themselves and with one another. So this is an exercise where you're invited to visualize via a blind drawing 4 of these voices. So we look at the body voice, the emotional voice, the intellectual voice, and what I would call the spiritual or soul energy voice. And it's about a blind drawing, so really giving it a shape. How does this voice look like today, here and now? And then it's connected to a bit of writing, basically asking that voice, what is it saying here and now? And what becomes very apparent is that at different moments in our daily life, different voices inside of us are more or less loud, more or less strong, more or less connected. I've been introducing a number of methods and tools from various backgrounds, so not only from the arts, but from system theory, from an institute called Presencing Institute at MIT Boston, from a dancer, Ravana Hayashi, who developed the social presencing theater, from mediation. So it's methods that give you various options how to engage with yourself, a situation, mirroring a situation. And I hope that people pick up tools and methods they find useful for their context. I also think it's, and I did witness that here, that people discover how much fun and joy they have in reflecting. It's not always a serious, heavy thing to do. I think also what people can and should and will take away is the notion of how reflection is interconnected with learning and with thinking and with taking decisions. So it's kind of like a circular process that happens inwards and outwards.